Hey guys, it's Beast and One Destined here, and we're basically here to say goodbye to Clannad Another Abridged, basically. We're going to be, just answering a few final questions from people. Questions which have been asked over time and we haven't really answered them properly, or we've only really answered it on a comment and people haven't read that reply or anything like that. So we're just going to get all these sorts of things out of the way, because people are just always asking these sorts of questions, and we might as well answer them properly for you guys. So
alright, well, one of the major questions I think we get asked is what editing software do we use? I think we've answered this many times.
Yeah.
But for the sake of, people that have not figured this out yet.
Yeah. I have made a video of me editing, and I use Adobe Premiere Pro CS5. I used to use Adobe Premiere CS4, but then I moved up to CS5 just because it has the Mercury playback engine, which basically, in layman's terms, it makes it easier to edit full HD video, because I edit in 1080p, which is quite hard on my computer, but Premiere just really powers on through it. And recently I've started using After Effects as well a little bit, and other programs I use is Sound Booth. So basically I just use the Adobe Creative Suite, which is about as good as it gets.
Yeah, when the episodes were first starting made, the problem we had with the CS5 collection is that that Mercury playback is only supported by cards that use the CUDA, and none of us had a card that would support that until later on. But once Mark got his hands on a card that was capable of doing it, we were able to utilize that, and it became more effective. So we don't recommend anybody do that unless, of course, they have the proper card.
Yeah.
There should be a list of them on Adobe's website for people, but otherwise we recommend...
Basically, if your graphics card is like a GeForce 8000 or GT 200 up sort of thing, you can do it, but you're recommended to have a reasonably good card though. Don't use
Also, CUDA is not available on ATI-based cards, which is what me and Hillbeast use regularly.
Yeah.
But we use he uses this NVIDIA card for the CUDA, but you can still use a massive amount of great graphic settings with ATI. In fact, we prefer them. But if you don't have that CUDA, then it's perfectly reasonable and suggested that you stay on CS4.
Yeah. And I bet we're probably going to get a lot of NVIDIA fanboys angry at me. But I will state this now. It's not even a question, but I choose who is the best at the time. I don't go for a certain brand. I just go for who the best is. And right now it's just ATI who's the best. But anyways, let's get on to the next question, because there's enough nerd talk.
Right. A couple people ask us a lot of the time, what are some of your tips for people that want to start editing an abridged series? What would be some of your recommendations?
Alright, the main thing which I would recommend to people who are making an abridged series is don't try to make it funny. Don't sit there trying to come up with jokes. Don't sit there and you're like, oh, people might find this funny, just write that down. Don't go and try that. Write what you think. If you sit down and watch an anime and you sit there thinking to yourself, it's actually kind of reminds me of this sort of thing, or that's kind of funny if they actually did this instead. If you can sit there making jokes in your head when you're watching an anime, then that's how you should be writing the abridged series. You shouldn't be writing the abridged series to be a comedy. You should be writing it about your thoughts, and then if there are jokes which come out of that, then all the better. If you can weave in a joke or two in there, like for example Sunohara's gay jokes, I never thought when I was watching it that Sunohara's gay, but it sort of just fitted, so I was like, alright, let's just put this in here.
Yeah, we find, and my statement to that is kind of answering towards our next question, which is, what is it like working as a team? Really, it all really depends on how good your team is. You're only as good as your weakest member, really. You gotta have a team that really enjoys what they're doing and really is into this series. I think the reason why Season 2 came out so much better, in my opinion, is because we got a team that really just got into it and they wanted to do it. They were ready to go for it. Every time a new episode came out, we were all excited to get it ready and going. We understood each other when there were times where we all couldn't get to work on something. But we tried not to set deadlines too strict for ourselves,
Yeah.
because otherwise it would have been impossible to meet them.
Yeah, like last season was a week for every episode. I've released them on Mondays, and that got really stressful on not only the team, but also, more importantly, on me, because in that week I had to come up with ideas, I had to write the script, I had to organise the team, I had to get the recording all done, and then I had to edit, and that was a lot of work to do in a week, and it was only manageable because I was a student at that point in time, and I was doing a really easy class. But now that I'm out in the workforce, I can't do that anymore.
We do, however, believe that having a consistent episode schedule is an ideal setup.
Yeah.
As you noticed with this season, we kind of tried doing a bi-monthly setup, or at least monthly, simply because you gotta release episodes on a regular basis at least enough so people will be interested in them.
Yeah.
Another question that we have is. Actually, believe it or not, I've actually seen this a couple times, but a lot of people are asking, will old voice actors be returning? I can probably answer that right now and say more than likely no.
Yeah, it's hard to get old voice actors
with
back. Usually the reason they leave isn't just because they've chosen to leave, it's mainly because there's been a conflict of interest in the team, and it's just too hard for me to keep them in the team, and it's really awkward going up to them and saying, can you come back, sort of thing, I want your voice, sort of thing. And I'd love to get them back, I'd love to get together again, but it's very, very awkward to get these sorts of things back together.
Yeah, you really have to keep personal conflicts out of, the teamwork thing. It's very difficult to work with people if you have a personal conflict with them, You've got to just keep the rhythm flowing. Another question we have is, and now we're getting to more questions related towards the series itself, but another question we have is, why so many voice changes? I think what happened with that, well, it started out as it was an emergency situation that we were required to do it, but it ended up becoming a kind of a joke between us all, so we started just changing characters' voices.
People kept on making fun of us for changing the voices all the time, so we just decided, screw it, we're going to go along with it now. And like originally it was Kotomi, and that was because the voice actor for Kotomi had to go, and then it was just like other people started changing, and it was mainly because I was doing all the voices. You got to remember, at the very start of the season I was doing everything, and then eventually we started getting voice actors in. So obviously the voice actors were going to change when I bring people in, but then like it got to the stage where like it was still me doing a lot of voices. So at the start of the season 2, we just did a massive reshuffling of people who were like, alright, who wants to do this, who wants to do that, and people would be like, oh, I really want to do Nagisa, I really want to do Kotomi, or I want to do Sanai, that sort of thing. And we all changed everyone around, sort of thing. And that's the main reason.
Yeah, another thing that came up with that is that a lot of people, it was also a decision not just by us but by fans. You got to keep in mind, we actually do read the fan comments, the messages, everything a fan sends us, we'll at least look at it and consider it. And we got a lot of positive responses from using different voices for different characters. And so we based what we decided to change from there on them. I honestly was not expecting my Kotomi performance to be anything looked at except just a funny little joke for that episode, for those 2 or 3 episodes. But we got a lot of positive response on that. So Mark basically and I came up and said, okay, it says, well, maybe I should appear in more episodes. And eventually we proposed the idea saying, well, why don't you take over as Nagisa? And we had to come up with a script on how we'd execute it, how it would come about, what our excuse for doing it was. And I think it paid off pretty well, because a lot of people responded very well to the change in that character. Yeah.
But like, we do promise, we really do read all the comments. Well, at least I do. I don't know about how much Matt reads, but like, I have an Android, so like, I get it all Gmailed to me. So like, I get all the comments right to me. As soon as you post something, I get it. So I do read everything.
I read a good amount of them. Yeah, I do read a good amount of them, though. Granted, I don't have the time to sit down and read everything because I'm a little bit more busy. But I do read a majority of what is said, so I can get an idea of what people are saying. And we do discuss what people are saying at the meetings that we make for every new episode. We discuss what people are talking about, what they enjoyed of the last episode. We post our thoughts, our comments, our ideas, and then we propose what we're going to do for the next time. Another question that we seem to be that we get a lot of is, do we need new voice actors? The short answer is no. No, we do not. We are kind of in a phase where, since we're so late into the project, we kind of don't want to just start pulling in new people.
Yeah.
Especially, we're going through a more stricter screening process for voice actors now.
Yeah.
We're kind of like hand-picking them.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, for a while, like, I was like, yeah, sure, come in my show. And there's two reasons why we don't do it. Number one, the people who I got in usually let me down. And number two, nowadays, like, I've got a lot of security. Like, there are a few people out there, and it is hard to say, but there are a few people out there who hate me, and there will be people who probably would be willing to abuse me taking on voice actors as a way to get back at me. So I don't want to let people in that way. So if you want to be a voice actor, that's nice, but I'm sorry, I can't let you in. I'd love to, but I can't.
We want the series to be just about the series. We don't want our personal problems or vendettas brought into our series. We try to keep it about that.
Yeah.
Which leads me to another thing that I think I should point out is that we do not encourage or suggest anyone in an abridged series make jokes talking about a specific person or group unless it's a generalized group. Like, don't go use your series to target anybody because it's not going to end well. We try our best. If we are targeting anybody or making a joke about someone we actually know, we do not use their name. We do not insinuate it's them. We do it in a way that they will not know it's them and that the fans will not, and we will never divulge on it.
Yeah.
Simply because we're laughing at the situation, not the specific person. We don't want to incriminate anybody or ourselves.
Yeah.
You try to stay away from those things.
Yeah. Like, when I make fun of Clannad TAS, I make it obvious that I'm making it a joke. I'm just doing it all in satire, and it's obvious that it's all in satire. But, like, you don't go around saying, oh, Joe Blogs is a rapist or something like that down the street from me, sort of thing. I don't go and do that.
Which brings me to our next question, actually, ironically. How do we feel about Clannad TAS? A lot of people have been asking this since the beginning, even. Like, we've been getting this. We haven't really answered this question.
No, alright, here's the thing. With Clannad TAS, when I first started off, I was like, alright, I'm going to make it a bridge series. And I saw, oh, there's already a Clannad one out there. So I was like, alright, stuff it. I'll just name it Clannad Another Abridged as a way to differentiate it. Because I thought they were going to release episodes really, really often. But for some strange reason, they haven't been releasing episodes, and I'm not saying that they're bad people because of it. I'm not saying anything like that, but I do kind of feel a bit bad that they haven't released any more than just 3 episodes. Like, they could have released a lot more. They are very, very slow. I don't know if they're dead or not. They have said that they're still going. I have contacted them, asked them, hey, are you guys still going? And they haven't replied to me, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. In terms of their abridged series, now, I can't really comment on it because obviously I'm a rival.
I see it as we're not necessarily rivals, and we don't really see them as like a threat. We just see them as another take on the same concept. We see ourselves as a take on the abridged concept, not necessarily as the abridged series, because we encourage others to make their own. In fact, I believe there were 2 other abridged series attempts that people are doing for Clannad, and we actually contacted those people and actually let them know that that they have our support and we look forward to. We've even offered to help with some of them. We don't sit here going, oh, there's going to be competition, because it's just not a productive way to get things done. If people like our show, then they like our show. If they like somebody else's, they like theirs. We actually are awaiting the next episode of Clannad the Abridged series. We're kind of because we kind of want to see, I
want to see how they do it.
We're not,
because in my opinion, my episode 4 was one of my favorites. I want to see what they do with it. I want to see how they do episode 4.
Yeah, we wanted to see, how they do their takes on them. We also took a strong stance on not looking at their show until ours was very later in the production, like past theirs, so that way there was no chance that we'd be influenced by them.
Yeah.
Which is another good idea for if you're making a bridge series. Try to avoid being influenced by other series.
Yeah. We're going to be right back. We're going to make another second video because this has already gone on for 15 minutes, so we'll start a new recording for...
Yep, and we can put an annotation at the top of this video, and you can check out the next one right there.